Well, good evening. It's good to have this time with you tonight. A little different than our outdoor services that we've been having. But I wanted to take you on a journey tonight. And I am a visual person, so I wanted to speak to you tonight intimately in our home through pictures and describe to you a journey that I went on this weekend, and it blew me away. And I'm excited that God has provided this opportunity for us to share together in these next few moments. So I had the opportunity, along with my husband Dan, Captain Dan, to go hiking this weekend. Now, I know you would agree with me that it's been so hard, sometimes feeling so claustrophobic or just a cabin fever, just needing to get out. And this weekend, we made the plan. It's our 20th wedding anniversary, and we wanted to just enjoy nature, and it's something that we had planned since January. And I thank God that He gave us that opportunity to do that. And I want to share with you some things that God showed us while we were doing our hiking this weekend. So we were able to go to the Starved Rock area, but because Starved Rock is closed right now till June 1st, we went to hike at Buffalo Rock. And actually there are actual buffaloes there. And while we were there, there were two female adult buffaloes, and one of the females that they had brought in from someplace pregnant had a baby. And so it was really neat to be able to see buffaloes. I don't think I've ever seen a buffalo besides on TV, but it was really cool to see that. While I was starting my journey, I knew that with hiking, sometimes I'm not very stable on my feet. And so I knew that for this journey, I would need a good walking stick. Just the perfect size to help me on this trail. And so we started looking and bending sticks everywhere. And suddenly, just by the side of the road, there was this perfect walking stick. Right there, just laying by the side of the road. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I need, the perfect size for me. And it nice and sturdy, so that we could continue on our hike. So we started going down the paved road, and as we went, we passed by this path that was kind of going downhill, and I was like, that's not safe. I would just fall in the mud. It's been really rainy. I'm not going to go down there. But as we continued to hike forward in this paved path, I said, you know what? No. God had provided this walking stick for me that He had given me to use for sturdiness. And He's like, go take that chance. Go down that path. And so I did. And there were places in the path where it was very muddy and very difficult to walk. But this was a very stable stick, and I brought it home because I'm like, I'm going to use this stick with me wherever I go. And I used this stick to go down the path, and I'm so glad that I did, because then God brought me to this beautiful place where I was able to just climb up and just see the greenery all around me. And He took us to this place right here where we were just filled with wonder and awe of God. If I had not taken that opportunity to go down that path with the stick, the rod that he provided for me, I would have missed this. God gave me this stick to guide me along the way, and I'm so glad. So this weekend, I also had the opportunity to go on a different path. And this path that I went down, I had a different plan in mind. I knew that walking this path was going to be a time of meditation for me and prayer. And when I came to the entrance of the path, I said, okay, Lord, I'm taking this time to say, show me how you want me to live my life going forward. And I said, I'm going to follow you, and I want to listen to your voice. So as I began my journey, I walked straight. So I was like, okay, well, God says walk the straight and narrow, and I walked straight. And so I did. And that led to a dead end. It just stopped. I was like, okay, well, I was kind of just doing what I wanted. And as I got closer towards the end of the path, there was mud. There was very muddy, very wet. And I like to go hiking in my sandals. I hate socks when it's warmer. And so, of course, muddiness and everything like that would not work for me to go hiking like that. And I said at the moment, I'm not going. Like, I'm done. This is not a quiet meditation place at all. And again, I had that opportunity to just call it quits and just to say, it's not worth it. But then God said to me, no, keep going. And so I had turned around. And when I turned around, I came to a point in the path where God brought me to this fork in the road. And he said, and I was like, okay, do I go left or I go right? And I felt God was leading me to go right, because this was not just a path that I was walking. This was me intentionally saying, this is the path of life, God. I want this to be an example of how I need to lead my life. And now the path on the left, it looked really cool, and it was like kind of enticing. The grass is greener on that side. And I was very like, ooh, what is that? But God did not want me to go down that path. He's like, I want you to go right. So I said, okay, God, I'm going to go right. And as I said I was going to go right, I thought of the verse here in Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lead not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Submit to him. This was about submission. And so, as I went right away, I went through some muddy parts again. I'm like, okay, I know what happens when it's muddy. I've done this before. But I listened to God's voice, and God spoke to me. He said, Wendy, life for you, for all of us, gets muddy. It gets hard. It's hard to walk through. It seems like, how can I take one more step? Is it going to be safe for me to walk? But God said, focus. Keep going. Keep walking straight. And so I did. I walked through those muddy parts. And then, as I continued to walk, I came to a beautiful grassy area where I was just marveled by God's glory all around me in a full circle. And in that time, he reminded me of this verse right here. It says in Psalm 23, 1 through 3, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name." God was leading me to these green pastures. After walking through some very muddy areas, the green pastures was a reminder that if you keep going forward in this difficult path of life, I will lead you beside quiet streams. I will lead you to green pastures. And as I continued to walk, I came across this beautiful budding tree. And these flowers were so neat. There were so many of them. And they were just about to open. And as I looked at them, God whispered to me. He says, "That's you and me. That's us. That's the people. We're just starting to bloom. Just starting to see what God is doing through us." And as I went down this path, and I saw these buds, I was reminded, God is still working on me. He's still working on you and me. And the neat thing was, when I looked at the tree and looked harder at the tree, and I didn't notice it at first, but all of a sudden I saw these beautiful caterpillars. Some people may not like caterpillars, but I've always had a fascination of caterpillars and butterflies and the metamorphosis of life and the change. And not only were there just a couple of caterpillars, but it was every tree that was like this that I would pass was full of these beautiful caterpillars. And the colors of it were so vibrant, so beautiful. And I was like, wow. And so as I walked along, the wind started picking up pretty big. And, there were dandelions on the ground. And there was this caterpillar, like, struggling for life, hanging on this dandelion. And its, like, bottom part was, like, swinging, trying to hold on tight. And I was like, I'm going to help this caterpillar out. I had a piece of paper. I scooped him up, and I put him on the tree. And he stayed sturdy during the wind. But then I was like, oh, there's another one struggling. Let me try to help that one. So I picked it up, but when I tried to put it on the tree, it coiled up and it just fell. And I was like, okay, let me try again. And I tried to pick it up and it put it on, and then it would just coil up and fall. And God reminded me in that moment that sometimes in life, there's people in our lives where we guide them and lead them to strong foundations and strong paths. And it's wonderful. But sometimes in life, people guide us and they lead us. But then those people that we're helping, they go the other direction and they fall. And that's part of human nature. We can't help everybody, but we can do our part in the path of life. And so, what God reminded me, though, an amazing thing of life is the caterpillars were not just people that we help in life, but the caterpillars represent you and I. And so for some of you who don't like caterpillars, just bear with me for the next few moments. But you and I are like these caterpillars. And if we allow God to work in us, if we allow God to move through us, if we ask God to penetrate those areas of our lives that still need change, and if we allow him, we will be changed from the inside out, just like the caterpillar. And he will set us free. And we will fly like a butterfly. That's part of our freedom journey. It says here in Galatians 5, verse 1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. Let me read that again. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. That is this path that we are on. We are on the freedom path. He has set us free. By his wounds, we are healed. We are set free. And I know that life is hard for us right now. It's hard to see that. Life is difficult. And there's some muddy parts in our life that we are walking through right now. And we don't know what the next step is going to be. And it's really hard. Because there's that control in our lives that we have of knowing what's going to happen day to day that gives us security. But when we don't have that, we're just surviving. And we're barely making it when we're relying on ourselves. But with Christ, he gives us his staff. He gives us the guidance that we need. Excuse me. Psalm 23 verse 4 says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. God sees you and me during this time. He sees us. None of us expected what we are living through right now. But the truth is that God equips you. He gives you a walking stick. And he guides us. We have to trust him. Will you trust him right now? Will you say, God, I don't know what's going to happen down the road. I don't know, even what next week will look like. But I will trust you. And that is our prayer. If God is such a God that he shows himself, his glory through nature and through creation, and he takes the time to give us all of this beauty around us, will he not take care of you and I? That is my prayer of surrender tonight. I want you to pray with me. God, I thank you that even though we walk through the darkest valley and the muddiest valley and the most difficult paths, God, you guide us. You lead us when we surrender our footsteps, each one to you. God, we are weak. We are human. We mess up. We get sidetracked and have to turn around. But Lord, your gentle voice is always guiding us and leading us, Lord. So thank you. Father, right now I pray for each one that is watching this video tonight, Lord, that you would hear their prayers and you would comfort them in their time of need. Lord, we pray your blessing. Lord, that you would do a new thing in our life, that we would be reminded of the freedom that we have in you, and be reminded that it is for freedom that Christ sets us free. We thank you, Lord, in your name. There's a song that comes to mind as I think about my journey this weekend. And it's a simple chorus, and I sing it a few times. But it goes like this.